Alright, imagine this. You're in a casino. The air smells like stale coffee and expensive perfume. The lights are dim, but the slot machines glow like they're calling your name. You hear bells, coins, cheers somewhere, someone just won. Or maybe you're alone at home. It's 2 a.m., and you're scrolling on your phone. One more bet. One more spin. Just one more game. You're not in Vegas. You're in your bedroom. But the feeling? It's the same. That rush? That spike of excitement in your chest before the outcome? That's what we're here to talk about. Why do so many people get hooked on gambling? Why does it feel so impossible to stop, even when we know it's bad for us? And how is it that something as simple as rolling dice or picking a team can take over our thoughts, our money, even our lives? This is the story of addiction. But not the one you think. This is the story of how our brains evolved for survival, only to be hijacked by systems built to exploit our deepest instincts. Let's start with biology. The brain's reward system, your personal slot machine. At the heart of every addiction lies one key player, dopamine. You've heard the name. People call it the pleasure chemical. But that's only half true. Dopamine isn't about pleasure, it's about wanting. It's the molecule that makes you chase the reward. It spikes not when you get the win, but when you anticipate it. That's why gambling is such a powerful trigger. When you pull a lever or place a bet, your brain starts predicting an outcome. The moment before the result is where the dopamine hits hardest. And if you win? Boom. Another spike. But if you lose? That's when things get dangerous. Because the brain doesn't give up. Instead, it says, try again. And again. And again. Until that one win finally comes, and reinforces the cycle. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement. It's the same system used to train animals, or, more recently, design social media apps. It's the idea that unpredictable rewards are the most powerful motivators. And gambling? It's built entirely on this principle. Designed to be addictive. Let's talk about design. Every casino, every betting app, every online slot machine is created with one goal: to keep you playing. The colors? Calibrated. The sounds? Engineered. The layout? Strategically confusing so you lose track of time and your wallet. But the real magic lies in something more subtle: near misses. You spin the slot. 2 cherries. The third? Just 1 pixel off. It feels like a loss, but your brain interprets it as almost winning. And that's just enough to keep you engaged. In fact, studies show that near misses activate the same brain regions as actual wins. And when you mix that with variable rewards, low effort, and fast pacing, you've got a perfect storm for addiction. The psychology of risk. Here's the thing: gambling isn't just about winning money. It's about hope, escape, the thrill of uncertainty. And psychologically, humans are wired to find risk exciting. We crave patterns, even when none exist. We fall into traps like the gambler's fallacy, the belief that if we've lost 5 times in a row, a win is due. That the dice owe us something. Spoiler, they don't. But it feels real. Because our brains are built for cause and effect. For logic. Not randomness. That's why we keep chasing losses. Why people will remortgage homes, max out credit cards, and destroy relationships, just to feel in control again. It's not stupidity. It's not weakness. It's psychology. From casinos to clicks, the rise of online gambling. Now here's where it gets dark. Because gambling? It's not just in Vegas anymore. It's in your pocket. Your browser. Your notifications. With the rise of smartphones and high-speed internet, gambling has become more accessible than ever. Apps offer free plays. Ads target vulnerable users. Bonuses trick people into thinking they're not spending real money. And the line between gaming and gambling? It's getting blurry. Loot boxes. Microtransactions. Sports betting integrated into every game broadcast. You don't need to leave your house. You don't even need to know the odds. You just need a phone. And a moment of weakness. the hidden cost. So what's the damage? Well, financial ruin is only part of it. There's the stress, the secrecy, the broken trust, the anxiety of constantly chasing stability, the guilt after every bet, the mental health spiral that comes with losing more than just money. You lose control. Some estimates say around 2 to 3% of the population has a serious gambling problem. But many more are affected in silence. And the worst part? It's often celebrated, normalized, gamified, marketed to kids. Because for every person that wins big, there are thousands paying the price. How sports betting became a billion-dollar addiction. Let's switch gears and talk about something a bit more familiar. You're watching a football match. Your team's winning. It's 2-1 in the 85th minute. The tension is high. The commentator mentions odds for the next goal. And just like that, you're opening a betting app on your phone. One quick tap. A small wager. Maybe just $5. And suddenly, you're not just watching the game. You're inside it. Your heart's pounding. You're sweating the next corner kick. That little bet? It changes everything. Welcome to sports betting, where fandom meets finance. And where more and more people are slipping into dangerous patterns without even realizing it. So what makes sports betting especially addictive? It's personal. You already care about the outcome. You're emotionally invested. It doesn't feel like gambling, it feels like supporting your team. That illusion of control? It's incredibly powerful. But here's what most people don't see. Sports betting is engineered to keep you engaged constantly. The odds change by the second. There are in-play bets, halftime specials, first scorer odds, next card, next corner, over-under predictions. It never ends. You can bet on everything. And that endless opportunity? It's a trap. You think you're strategizing. But you're reacting, again and again, to a system designed to get your dopamine firing like a machine gun. The gamification of losing. Let's talk about gamification. You know how apps reward you with points, badges, streaks, levels? That's not by accident. That's behavioral psychology in action. And gambling companies? They've taken this to the extreme. Every app you use to place bets is gamified. Daily login rewards. Loyalty points. Bonuses for betting more. Leaderboards. VIP status. It feels like a game. But it's not a game you can win. Think about this. In most games, the more you play, the better you get. But with gambling? The more you play, the more you lose. Statistically, mathematically, guaranteed. Because the house always wins. Always. But by wrapping loss in layers of game, fun, and community, betting companies rebrand your spiral into something that feels like progress. And your brain? It buys in. Illusion of control. Here's a tricky piece of the puzzle: control. We love to feel in control. We like to believe we can beat the odds if we just try hard enough. Learn enough. Pick the right stats. Trust our gut. But that's a lie. Most gambling activities, whether it's roulette, slots, or scratch cards, are completely random. No amount of skill can change the outcome. Sports betting is slightly different. You might know more about a team, a player, a weather pattern, but the outcome is still out of your hands. The ref could make a bad call. A star striker could pull a hamstring. A last-minute goal could wipe you out. But the illusion of control? It makes you bet more. Psychologists call this the control heuristic. And it's one of the strongest drivers behind gambling persistence. Even after massive losses, gamblers believe, next time will be different. I've figured it out now. They haven't. But the belief is enough to keep them coming back. When gambling goes too far, real lives, real losses. Let's pause for a moment and talk about reality. Behind the glowing apps, colorful ads, and fun betting experiences are real people with real pain. A father who blew through his family's savings thinking he could recover a weekend loss. A student who placed a small World Cup bet, then spiraled into debt within 6 months. A retired woman who lost her entire pension playing online bingo in isolation. Gambling addiction doesn't always look like someone in a casino screaming at a slot machine. Sometimes it's quiet, hidden, covered in shame. And it doesn't discriminate. It affects the wealthy and the broke, the educated and the naive, teenagers and grandparents. It's estimated that for every gambling addict, 6 to 10 other people are affected: partners, kids, parents, friends. The ripple effect is huge. And the worst part? Gambling addiction has one of the highest suicide rates among all mental health disorders. Because the shame, the debt, the secrecy, it piles up fast. The business of addiction. Now let's follow the money. You might think gambling companies make their profits from everyone playing. But that's not quite true. Most of their revenue, up to 80% in some cases, comes from just 5% of users. These are the heavy users. The ones who are already addicted. The ones who can't stop. And the companies? They know. They track every click, every loss, every hesitation. They use algorithms to predict your behavior and nudge you toward bigger bets. They target you when you're vulnerable. They offer you free credits when you try to stop. This isn't entertainment. It's extraction. It's a system that profits when you lose control. A global epidemic. Here's the scary part. This isn't just happening in one country. In the UK, nearly half the population has engaged in some form of gambling. In the US, sports betting is exploding after recent legal changes. In countries like Australia, rates of problem gambling are among the highest in the world. Even in developing countries, mobile betting is on the rise, fueled by smartphones and cheap data. And with AI and personalization, gambling is getting smarter, faster, and harder to resist. It's not just a personal issue anymore, it's a public health crisis. Final thoughts. What you really need to know. Let's take a breath. Because this wasn't just about casinos or cards or apps with flashing colors. This was about control. About how something that starts as a thrill, a little bet, a small wager, can snowball into something that consumes lives, quietly and completely. We've talked about the brain, the dopamine, the endless loops of hope and loss. We've exposed how the industry works, how it markets, manipulates, and monetizes addiction. We've heard about the people behind the numbers, those who've lost homes, families, futures. Not because they were weak, but because the system is strong. And if you take anything from this, let it be this. You are not broken. Gambling addiction isn't a moral failure. It's a neurological trap built with precision, targeting your most human vulnerabilities, your desire for control, your hope, your belief in second chances. And yet, there is a way out. Recovery is real. Help exists. Whether it's therapy, community support, financial counseling, or simply having one honest conversation, you are not alone. Millions have been where you are. And millions have made it back. But we need to start calling this what it is, a public health crisis. Not a personal flaw. And to the companies? To the platforms and the systems profiting off pain? We see you. You can wrap it in fun. You can call it just a game. But when people lose their lives, their relationships, their mental health, it's not entertainment. It's exploitation. So what comes next? That part's up to us. We need smarter regulations, better education, transparent odds, tools for self-exclusion that actually work. We need to treat gambling addiction with the same urgency we give to any other form of psychological harm. But more than anything, we need to talk about it. Out loud. Without shame. Because silence is where this addiction thrives. And hey, if this deep dive opened your eyes, if you saw a piece of yourself, or someone you love, in this story, please like the video. Subscribe. Share it with someone who needs it. We've got more long-form explorations coming, unpacking the hidden systems that shape our choices, the myths we live by, and the truths we tend to avoid. We're not here for surface-level content. We're here to go deeper. So stay curious. Stay kind. And I'll see you in the next one.